Vandy football lands a big quarterback commit, and Mark Byington lands a guard from the transfer portal. Let's get it going. Here we go.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Today's episode, we analyze Vandy's new quarterback commit, Jack Elliott. We explore some portal news, some departures, some possible arrivals, some things happening there. And speaking of the portal, how does new guard MJ Collins fit into Mark Byington's system? And finally, the Vandyboys, they bounced back in a big way after a tough weekend at Texas A&M. They bounced back, like I said, in a big way against Lipscomb. So thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So quarterback Jack Elliott, right? I love this. He commits. He's a 2025 quarterback, 3-star out of Mount Carmel High School in Chicago, Illinois. I absolutely love this because for a lot of reasons, really. I think what this shows you is that Vandy is starting to kind of recruit in a level where they're starting to kind of build these commits and get them in the boat early. And I think that's a lot to have to do with the new overhaul of the staff. You have Harding Harper and his recruiting staff and scouting staff that's kind of getting all of this stuff together. So I think you're starting to see more quality guys like Carson Lawrence, Austin Howard, now Jack Elliott. You're starting to see some quarterback class stacking going on. So like when some of these guys from the portal kind of move on, the new wave of Vandy quarterbacks can kind of fall into the pipeline there. And so this is a symbol of how some things are changing. Now, things may not change like rapidly overnight, but this is a sign of things that are okay. Well, Vanderbilt, they're changing a little bit, because I don't know that this time last year, Vanderbilt was racking up commits like this. I wasn't quite as aware, but I just don't think that they were as much of a player in the recruiting game as they were back then. So this is really good. But he liked what he saw at practice. He had some conversations with Tim Beck, offensive coordinator, Jerry Kill, and the offensive staff, and just kind of liked what was going on. He played his head coach played his high school head coach played for Jerry Kill at Northern Illinois. I think there's some connections there, and he feels real comfortable with what he sees. So a little bit about Jack, what he brings to the table as a quarterback, because I think he's somebody that can come in when he comes in as a freshman. I think he's somebody that, again, will allow there to be some competition. He'll push for playing time, things like that. I mean, this quarterback room is going to get real interesting as time goes on. So some stats from him. He won the Class 7A state championship in Illinois. He threw for 3,148 yards. That's good for a 68% completion percentage. 34 touchdowns. He also rushed for almost 1,000 yards and scored 7 times on the ground. So he's somebody that's dangerous, man, and he's somebody that has all the tools that you want in a quarterback. And so that kind of helps what, again, and this will be the first real Tim Beck recruit. So this is important. This is important to see just kind of how this all kind of plays out as far as when he gets on campus and things like that. But, again, I like his gamesmanship. I like how he can throw from different arm slots, different arm angles. He's good in play action. He's accurate. He has good timing on RPOs, and he kind of just understands the way that you need to play. He understands reads and things like that. He's going to be pretty good in the based on his stats. I feel like he's going to be a pretty good weapon in the run game as well. So I like this kid a lot. I think this is a great pickup. 3-star guy, is a gamer, man. He, in a pretty good area, pretty good league. The highest classification in Illinois, wins the state championship. So, but if you watch his film, and you can go on vandysports.com, or you can go anywhere that you can find this kid's huddle highlights. And one of the skills that I think is probably going to serve him the best right now, if he were to step foot on Vanderbilt's campus right now, is his scramblability. And with Vandy's offensive line issues that they're having, and with the past issues that they've had, that will likely project into the future to a certain extent, being able to scramble and move around in the pocket and buy time is a very underrated skill to have. And it's not a skill that you would like to evaluate on a quarterback, but in this situation, you kind of have to. And he's quick, he's fast, he's mobile, he's decisive. He can get the ball out of his hands quick from different arm angles, and that's going to serve him well if he is in a situation where he's running for his life, or he's booting out and trying to buy time, or he just finds an open guy and needs to get it out quick. He can throw it. He can throw it from different angles, contort his body different ways, and throw it accurately. So, but what this means is, obviously getting a really good quarterback that seems to fit what Tim Beck wants to do, and it's a big get for Vandy in a lot of ways. Recruiting wise, you get your centerpiece quarterback in the class early. Now everything else can kind of build around what he does well, and this whole recruiting class can build around what this offense and what Tim Beck wants to do with that. So, a couple things before we head over into basketball land. Leyton Nelson heads to the portal. That's literally and figuratively a big departure there. In an already thin offensive line, that makes things even thinner, and that puts a little bit of importance and urgency on getting offensive line recruits. So I won't spend too much time with Leyton Nelson, but he's somebody that has a lot of experience and can play at the tackle spot for and maybe some interior. He's kind of a versatile guy, so he can kind of fit wherever you need him. So whoever gets him will get a pretty stellar offensive lineman, and I'm curious to see where Leyton Nelson ends up. And speaking of portal news, stop me if you've heard this one. You've probably never heard this before, because this has never happened, I promise you. But New Mexico State's tight end, Eli Stowers, I think it's Stowers. Eli Stowers is formerly a Rivals 100 commit as a quarterback to Texas A&M, transferred to New Mexico State, had a position change, is now in the portal, and guess what? He's visiting Vandy. So another Aggie door possibly. I kind of feel like there's a punchline here, but I kind of feel like this is becoming a pattern. You go to New Mexico State is turning into Vanderbilt's feeder school, just in case you're wondering. But he's visiting, so we'll let you know how that goes. We'll probably likely commit. Diego Pavia is doing a tremendous job on the recruiting trail as far as the portal goes. I guess he might get his running back in, his tight end in, and you're just going to see New Mexico State, the Vandy Aggie doors, right? So the Vandy State Aggie doors. So there you go. But there's this portal season just opened up, so there's going to be a lot of news coming in and out. There's going to be a lot of things happening. It's going to be kind of crazy. So stay tuned for all of that. See where Leyton Nelson ends up. Wish him well, and then see what happens with Eli Stowers and Star Thomas, amongst others, and see what Vandy does on the offensive line front, and see what they add, when they add it, how they add it, all that good stuff. So that'll be something to keep your eyes peeled on. So when we come, speaking of the transfer portal, Virginia Tech's guard MJ Collins, talk about another feeder school for different sport, but Virginia Tech got another transfer from Virginia Tech to Vandy. So we'll talk about him and his impact next. All right, this episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. That's right. There is, we've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard's not looking good. You're feeling low. You're not sure your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep. You lift your head up, say to yourself, time to get back in the game. Pull off some bank heist and take as much of my friend's money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends and get the most riches and biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. You can make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. You can charge other players rent for your iconic properties, like Atlantic Avenue. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go. That's Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, welcome back. Segment number 2. Just so you know, it's Locked On NFL Mock Draft Live on April 17th, which is today at 7 p.m. Eastern. Streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 Eastern Time to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft on April 17th at 7 Eastern, streaming live on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. So, Mark Byington lands a third guy, lands another one. Talked about one of the things he needed to address in the transfer portal, and that was the guard position. Well, he gets it. That's right. He gets it. Again, goes back to the well in Blacksburg, Virginia. I guess this whole rivalry with Virginia Tech and Vanderbilt is going to start to heat up because the football team is going to be upset with what the basketball team is doing, poaching all the talent. I kid, but maybe not. But anyway, first Tyler Nickel, now MJ Collins. So MJ Collins is a sophomore guard. He averaged 7.4 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.7 assists per game while shooting 34% from the field and 26.5% from three-point range. When you look at those numbers and look at them alone, well, doesn't give you a whole lot of hope, does it? But here's the thing, right? He's not a superstar. That's pretty much obvious from those numbers. But what he does is he's a big physical, versatile guard that has played a good bit of Power 5 basketball. So what Mark Byington needs in this system is he needs a physical guard that can jump the ball at full court and press it and get steals and be able to pass and then shoot some. So within the scheme, there's going to be obvious opportunities for runouts and for fast break and transition points. So if Collins can hit some layups, he'll start to see his confidence boost, right? He's a capable ball handler. He's really good in these situations, especially transition situations. He's going to be somebody that you can hopefully rely on. I believe that you can rely on him to be able to get the ball where it needs to go and to be able to push the ball up the court when those transitions are happening. He's also going to be somebody that I think you can run the half court offense through him, and he's not going to be the guy that's going to be looking to shoot. He's going to help create stuff. He's going to help attack the basket, and he's going to create opportunities for himself and for others as well. So, I think this is going to be a very, if you're busy trying to look at this on paper, you're going to be disappointed. But if you kind of just watch how he plays and just kind of think about, okay, well, what does Mark Byington want? Well, he wants positionless basketball. He wants guys moving. He wants guys attacking, and he wants guys in transition. And so it's a faster style of basketball. Probably this is pure speculation, just so you know. But one of the reasons that I speculate that he wanted to leave Virginia Tech is that the scheme didn't fit, and you probably didn't get a good idea of what exactly he could do, because again, what Virginia Tech probably asked of their point guards, which I don't know, I don't watch a whole lot of Virginia Tech basketball, if any. What they ask for them of their guards is probably not what they're going to ask of Collins at Vanderbilt. So that's got to be good, right? So I like it. I think it's, I think one of the themes of what Mark Byington's getting in the transfer portal is physicality, toughness, versatility. And that's something that Tyler Nickel can do. That's something Jalen Carey can do as well. And then the guys that are already on the roster kind of fit that mold as well. So I'm thinking that it's going to be interesting nonetheless. I think you're going to see some creativity. You're going to see positionless basketball at its finest, because when you look at this team, there's a whole lot of guys on this roster that kind of just like you just got some bodies there, and you're just like, okay, let's make this happen. And it's going to be fun, because like you don't have like defined roles like point guard, drive, dish. You don't have a shooting guard. Okay, he's your shooter. You don't have a small forward. Well, he's running the elbow and then crashing the boards. You don't have that power forward that's whatever on the boards and on the defensive end, and you don't have that center that dominates the paint. Like, you don't have those defined roles, which makes it fun and makes it even more imperative that they try to get out and running as much as they possibly can, and try to create as many transition baskets as they possibly can, because them trying to run a half-court offense probably is them trying to run a slow, fast, half-court offense is probably not going to benefit them at all, really. So MJ Collins, versatile, tough, physical guard, really good addition for Mark Byington. This is getting more and more exciting by the day. So we'll see. Now we'll see the magician at work and see how he kind of puts it all together. Is he done in the portal? I don't know. He might not be. He might be. He's got to build some depth there. He's got some high school recruits, I think, that are still on board. We'll update you on that as well. So, but anyway, Vandyboys bounce back as well. That's exciting. We'll talk about that here next. All right, Yahoo Finance. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all of your investment and retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts in one hub and access expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence, right? So let's get straight to the point. You want to grow your portfolio to deal with the rising cost of inflation, to pay off your debt or your mortgage, and pretty much anything standing in the way of you and financial freedom, right? Well, with Yahoo Finance, you can get the right access to the news, data, and tools that you need in order to help you reach that financial freedom. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take those investments up to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. So for more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They're the number one finance destination, producing holistic look at financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including a 401k and other investments. A comprehensive perspective is what sets apart great investors, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures that you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. So with a community over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. All right, welcome back. Third and final segment here on the Locked On Vandy podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen, and thank you to the everydayers for making us part of your daily listening experience. Thank you for doing what you do on an everyday basis. So we're going to wrap this thing up here. We got about 5 minutes to go. The Vandyboys, man, they had a really tough go at Texas A&M. They felt the pressures of the atmosphere. They learned the hard way that, well, when the pitching shuts down, when the pitching falls apart, they can't score enough runs. They don't have enough power. They're in the bottom tier of all the power categories and home runs and things in the SEC. They have very little power. They have to rely on speed and craftiness and pitching. And when some of that fails, well, they kind of get screwed. So all that to say that, well, there's a run rule victory at Lipscomb, and they bounce back, and it's good to see and all that good stuff. So Braden Holcomb, he stayed hot. He's starting to play to the potential that we all knew he played, or he could play, and so he's somebody that's going to be a fixture in this lineup, and he's going to continue to get more and more comfortable. He may be the thing that sparks a little bit of the power. Like, he might be somebody that gets him back on track a little bit. Hitting the ball, he's just got to be more consistent. RJ Austin, Jaden Davis, Jonathan Vastine, Troy Leneve, all those guys are going to be they're going to be important. So they've got to get some confidence at the plate. Something they didn't have this past weekend, something that they can have and build going into this weekend, which was also positive, is Brendan Cyber. He made the start. He pitched 4 innings and had 5 strikeouts. Levi Huseman came in, and it was kind of like a bullpen game here for Tim Corbin, and getting some guys some valuable work and valuable innings to try to kind of get them back in the groove a little bit. So I'm happy that they were able to get this 15-2 victory, run rule victory, and get some guys some innings and some at-bats and things where they can just kind of work on their timing, seeing the baseball, pitch selection, things like that. This was a road game in Nashville. They went down the road to Lipscomb University and played there. So again, the things they need to fix, honestly, these midweek games are good to work on those things, but the things they need to fix, obviously, is plate discipline, driving the baseball. Even if they're not driving it out of the yard, they still need to be able to get guys on base and get them around, and get them around quickly, because college baseball is kind of fickle in that regard. Pitching wise, I think the pitchers felt the pressure a little bit from the hitters not being able to hit, and then the hitters felt a little pressure from the pitchers kind of falling apart a little bit. And so I think the team just completely collapsed, and it was not pretty. So that is something to I guess monitor. But this weekend they have I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. But they have Florida coming up in a series, and they host Florida, and they have a 3-game series beginning Thursday night at the Hawks. So that'll be good to be back at home, get some momentum going back for their next road trip, see if they can't get some, I guess the overall season, they've really struggled on the road. South Carolina gets swept. Texas A&M gets swept. LSU win the series. So it's been it's been mostly down as far as on the road. So they got to figure out how to win in those type of environments, because that's how regional environments are going to be, even if it's at home. So, but they get to lick their wounds and get to work on some things against the Florida Gators. So that'll be fun to see kind of them bounce back and get back on track and maybe develop some power along the way. So, last and certainly not least, it's always fun when former players get called up to the show, former guys that did really well in their respective programs. Any program you talk about having guys get called to the majors is a big deal, and it's a big deal for Vandy. As the Texas Rangers, the defending world champions, have decided to call Jack Leiter up to the big leagues from AAA. He's going to make a start on Thursday, which is actually tomorrow as you're listening to this. So that's going to be exciting. He's really killed it in the minor leagues this year, and he's been doing really, really well for the Express. So I'm excited to kind of see. He was the club's number 8 prospect, and he's going to go up against Stephen Willis's Detroit Tigers, and we'll see kind of how he does. I'm expecting really, really good things because he's been good at every stop he's been at. So I'm thinking that doesn't really change. He's somebody that comes in and gets guys out, throws strikes, and kind of lets his defense go to work. He has really good command. His dad's Al Leiter. So it's going to be fun, man. He's being called up with some injured arms, and this is his chance to say, hey, Texas, you shouldn't send me back down. You should just keep me in the rotation, and I will not disappoint. So, so that is part of the reason, and the part of the reason they feel comfortable calling him up is because his first start in the AAA season, he struck out 10 against Oklahoma City. He's pitched 14 1/3 innings with a 3.77 ERA, and he's had 25 strikeouts to 3 walks. So he's got really, really good command, and he's getting guys out, and not only getting guys out, but sitting them down with strikeouts. So I think this is going to be really, really good. If you're a fan, if you're a fan of Jack Leiter's, if you're a fan of Vandy baseball, make sure if you don't have the major league plan or whatever, just find your way to the Texas Rangers game against the Detroit Tigers, and watch Jack Leiter start for the Rangers. So, but that's all. That's going to do it for us here. Kind of a random show if you think about it, but lots of portal things, lots of commits, and lots of big things happening. So it seemed kind of random, but hey, we got through it. But anyway, we hope you had a great hump day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll finish out the week. The next 2 episodes, we'll finish out the week. We'll have a good finish to the week. More portal news likely to come, some spring football talk, and getting you ready for the Vandyboys hosting the Gators. And with that, have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and anchor down.